Live from New York, it's the Coffee Club, broadcasting on
the CC Radio Network.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our show. This is Felix and
Dr. Mark. The doors are officially open. We have a seat waiting for you. The coffee is hot, so let's get right to it.
Let's sit down and relax, have a good time. If you have a scotch, have a drink also.
Yes, Felix is actually drinking the bottle as opposed to hitting the bottle.
Yes, and it's
one of those days.
I get more fun out of hitting it, I'll tell you.
Well, okay.
But it's not so bad drinking it either.
We have a mixed bag tonight, folks.
Yeah, the first thing we'd like to do is pay tribute.
Tribute to Nelson Mandela, who passed yesterday at 95 years old.
We don't really, we're not experts on Nelson. We don't really know too much about him. We know that he spent 27 years in jail, where he was only allowed to get one letter every 6 months and write a letter every 6 months. And he was also once a year allowed to see somebody for half an hour.
You know, I have to say, Felix, that Nelson Mandela is probably one of 5 human beings who exemplify the old adage of turning the other cheek. Needless to say, first you have Jesus, and you have Gandhi, you have Dr. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and I must say, I have to add my own father, Saul Kinnickson, who was a master at turning the other cheek. But then my dad knew how to... I see. My dad knew how to get even, so to speak, and do it so quickly that you wouldn't even know it. But at first, he always gave somebody the benefit of the doubt, as did the other 4 gentlemen.
And, in tribute to him, we're going to give you a few little-known or surprising facts about him.
So surprising that we're just learning them as we speak them to you.
Okay, number 1, he lived up to his name. Mandela's birth name was...
I'll give you $5 if you could say it.
Rolihlahla.
See what I mean?
In Xhosa, one of the official languages of South Africa.
I'm glad I gave you that to read.
Nelson.
You're supposed to be serious here. Come on.
Meaning putting the branch of a tree or troublemaker. The name, elementary school, it's not clear what. Name. Nelson was given to him by his teacher on his first day of elementary school. It's not clear why she chose that particular name. It was the early 90s, and African children were given English names so British colonials could pronounce them easily.
That almost sounds like the movie Roots, when he was given the name Toby.
Okay, did anybody know? Wait, he had a cameo part in the Spike Lee movie. He had a bit part in Spike Lee's 1992 biopic Malcolm X. At the very end of the movie, he plays a teacher reciting Malcolm X's famous speech to a room full of Soweto school kids. But the pacifist Mandela wouldn't say by any means necessary. So Lee cut back to a footage of Malcolm X to close out the film.
My reading glasses.
Oh, okay. Let's see. There's a woodpecker named after him. Okay. He married a first lady before tying the knots with Mandela on his 80th birthday. Gracia Machel was married to Mozambique President Samora Machel. Her marriage to Mandela after her husband's death means she has been a first lady of two nations. And ladies and gentlemen, you must pardon our poor reading, but neither of us have our reading glasses with us. So trying to read something on the prompt,
then we shouldn't have done it.
He was a master of disguise. He loved boxing.
Hey, look, he was like you. He quit his day job.
And his favorite dish probably is not yours to eat. He loved eating tripe. Yep, the stomach lining of farm animals. That's his favorite meal. He studied at the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg and opened the nation's first black law firm in Johannesburg in 1952. I guess that's before he went to jail. Oh, and here's the last one. One last one we're going to read anyway. He was on the U.S. terror watch list until 2008 at the age of 89. How's that, huh?
We could have done without those facts, I think. Suffice to say, he never held a grudge. In fact, he had invited his prison guards to his inauguration as president, the first African president of South Africa. Okay, he never held any grudges. Truly someone to emulate. And that's why I mentioned him along with the other four gentlemen as far as turning the other cheek, being a forgiving person. And he once told President Clinton that the two things that the South Africans could not take away from him was his mind and his heart. As long as you have your mind and your heart, you're your own person.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, unless if somebody would like to call and say something about Nelson, we'd be more than happy to receive your calls.
Your first name basis? You're on a first name basis? Nelson?
Nelson Mandella.
Like Nelson Riddle?
Yeah.
And his orchestra? You knew him too, huh?
Yeah.
All these Nelsons.
Yeah.
Rockefeller?
I also had a
You knew Rockefeller, right?
His name is Nelson. It's actually a Spanish name with a lot of people. A lot of people have that name that are Spanish. But anyway, if you know something, a fact about him, or you want to say a word about him,
remember the number is 516-665-1860.
So call us, why don't you?
And we'd like to move on now to
one more thing. We want to remind everybody that
don't cut me off.
I'm sorry,
but
before we move on, we forgot to mention one thing.
What?
The coffee party is still on the move. Except we're almost ready to start pushing for the 2014 elections.
In fact, I do believe if you had listened to Chris Matthews and the president yesterday on Hardball when he was making a stop at American University, you might have heard the president say the problem with millennials is that they vote every 4 years in a presidential election, but they don't think it's important to vote in the off elections when you're voting for local people and congressmen. And you may remember prior to Election Day, I explained to you what I used to tell my students, which is so true, that if you want to spur change and make a difference, those are the people that you have to elect to Congress and to local government because they directly affect you. It's all well and good to vote every 4 years in a presidential election, but the bottom line is the people who affect you the most are the people at the lower governmental echelons, okay? And very important that you get out there and express your feelings and cast your ballot and vote.
And Mark, who has the power?
I do believe it's the people.
That's right. People have the power.
Patti Smith. Patti Smith, yes.
She had it right on the money. People have the power.
That's right. You get out there and you cast your vote. Remember, we mentioned Gandhi before. Gandhi is quoted as saying that you should become the change that you want to see. Okay? Change begins with you. It always does. You see that something is not getting done, as Lily Corcoran did, get out there and do it yourself. Okay?
You know, there's the apathy in this country is probably the worst thing that could be during election time. As we previously discussed, 90% of the people that are in office get reelected, but the approval rate is only 10%. So why is everybody getting elected?
Very true.
People don't really care. People are afraid of change. They figure no matter how bad it is, they're afraid of making it worse.
Well, I tell you, Felix, right now we've been bouncing around between Mandela and Coffee Party. I think we should get to the topic at hand, which I know you have quite a bit to say about.
I do?
You told me.
What you mean? What you talking about, boy?
What you talking about, Willis? Yes, we would talk with the topic for today is family and friends, and do they mix in a business setting? Okay, now let me, before you get into yours, I'll give you time to think, and I'll explain to the people that when I was in college, I worked for my uncle's engineering company. I went to Brooklyn Technical High School. For those people who are local people, it's one of those schools that you had to take a test to get into. In those days, I had hopes of being an engineer. And I learned drafting. I learned mechanical drawing, we used to call it. And I went to work for my uncle's company doing structural and electrical design. And one year I was actually out on a construction site doing heavy laboring as a laborer. And getting to know construction and engineering firsthand. But my uncle kept a distance from me, and I worked hard because I didn't want people to think that I got the job, well, which I did, solely because I was his nephew. But I wanted to produce, and I became one of the guys. They realized I wasn't going to rat on anybody if I saw them doing something. I was cool that way. But in many cases, when you have parents working with siblings, with children, in a business setting, it's hard not to take that home, okay? And now that I'll let that segue lead into what Felix would like to be discussing.
It's true, though. It's very hard at times, not always, but I'll say majority of times what I've seen, when you have a parent working with a son or daughter or other siblings, the first thing is the other employees at times have it a little harder to accept them, like Mark said, because of their, because of the relationship. Oh, he's got it easy. He doesn't have to do the work. He's not worried about getting fired. Stuff like that. And also for the employee, the Mark in the family or myself, whoever it is, they have a hard time to, they're one of the, they're one of the employees. Who are they going to be loyal to? The boss and not fit in? Or goof off and do things that they shouldn't do, just like some of the other employees do? Where do they fit in? They have an awful hard time fitting in. And the other half of it is they have, on the same note, it's hard to distinguish. Are they an employer or an employee? Most of the time, I think that what they try to do is just take the best of each and ignore the worst. And Mark, you were going to say something?